Get him! Clipboard's still up there. You just playing or you lost?
I'm lost.
You can always just clear something out.
Yeah, but how do you put in the answer thing? Like,
right above negative is answer. So you say 6 parenthesis 8 right above that answer. And then keep going. Every time you want it to put an X, you just second right above negative. Okay? No. I bet you would know you're right if you did the second part of the problem. And if you reduced your fraction. I don't want to know what she knows on your paper.
I don't know what to do.
Did you solve it?
I think so.
Now check it.
Okay.
Plug it back in, see if you're right. What?
Is that? Did I reduce that enough?
Can you reduce it anymore?
I don't think so.
You look for, is there a factor that those two things have in common? Also, most calculators, if you type in an improper fraction and just hit enter, they'll just simplify it for you. So then you know if you're right. There's only one scientific calculator that I've run across in the last 13 years that doesn't. And I don't see it on anyone's table. So.
I messed up on this, but I did like the equation twice and I got the same answer. But then I did both the checks again and I didn't. So I don't know what I did.
Bummer, bruh.
Yeah.
Tell me, how'd you go from this line to this line?
Distributed?
Maybe you should draw those arrows.
I did.
You sure? Okay, you drew the arrows. What do the arrows mean? There it is. Is anyone still rolling? See a couple of pencils scratching away. Those apple ones ain't good. Alright. Just wondering if I should get them again or not.
Oh, I messed up.
Huh.
Huh.
That was a statement. I'm acknowledging your statement. I'm not sure what you want out of me.
Oh, no.
Alright, good talk. Alright. Plenty of time. Step one, I distribute. And when I distribute, if I draw those arrows, I probably want to use them to actually multiply stuff, right, Tommy?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't just draw them so that you draw them and then do something like this. Right? Just because you drew the arrow there doesn't mean that you did the thing. I would recommend, as you're working on these, draw the first arrow, write the number, then draw the second arrow so that you don't accidentally forget to do part of it. All right. Trey, who's up there looking kind of suspect?
That's 24.
Don't like it. So, what kind of 24 is it? But this is positive, so I'm going to subtract. Okay. All right. Show that zero's out. I've got 48x minus 66 is negative 12x. Who's lonely? That negative 12x. Now this is the way that, okay, Trey said, I want to do that. Doesn't matter, right? There's 4 different ways to go after you distribute. So now I have to bring, wait a second, do I add 66 because I always add the numbers? No. He's lonely because he's lazy. You bring him a date, don't bring him a pizza. You want to bring him another one of whatever he is. Okay, in this case, a human. Otherwise, that's how you end up with crazy cat ladies, right? Okay. I don't need a companion. I have all of my friends. And then they're going to eat you when you die. Zero that out. Say I've got a negative 66 is a negative 60x. I'm going to divide. And if I'm showing every stage of this, I forget who it was, someone came in asking about these problems. Why is this thing always wrong? And it was because they were dividing the wrong direction. If you show that this is 1, if you show that you only have an x left.
Can I borrow one of these for the class
Is it just this class? Yeah, go for it. Okay. If you show that's a 1, then you only have an x left. Okay, you're showing why that's the only thing left. Now, 66 over 60 does reduce. What do they both have in common as a factor?
6.
Okay, what if I did 3 instead? Because I saw some kids get to here. Or sorry, 2. And then they got here. Can't you keep going? Okay, so whether you divide by 2, then 3, or 3, then 2, 3 times 2 is still 6. I could just divide by 6, getting 11 tenths. So that is the end of the rainbow. 11 tenths. Because 11 tenths also happens to be 1.1, which is a terminating decimal, I'll take it. I'm not happy about it. I'm probably going to do one of those at you, but you ain't wrong, so I'll take it. I prefer fractions. Don't be afraid of fractions, but since it was a terminating decimal, we'll take it. Now, if I'm going to check that, my check doesn't have to be super complicated. I can use my calculator to do that. I've got 11 divided by 10 as my final answer. That's a bunch of stuff on there. Let's try that again. Okay, and I get an answer. Okay, now Cohen was trying to use the answer button, right? We were just a little bit fuzzy on how I actually press it. It's always down here on a secondary feature. Depends on your calculator, but I think every calculator in here, if you have an answer feature, it's somewhere down there in the bottom row. I take that back. Some of the Casios will actually have their own button. Just ANS, ants. Okay, so it's still down there in that corner. Okay. So I'm going to take 6 parentheses 8 times my answer. And I'm just going to smash them together like that because that's what they're doing. Minus 7, close the parenthesis, womp. Now I got to be careful. If I want to use that answer button again, what was my last answer? Okay, so if I try to use the answer button again, it's not going to come up here and use the one that I think I want. It's going to use whatever the last one is because that's what it's programmed to do. If you're on these type of calculators, I think I've showed you this before. You all know you can do 12 parenthesis 2 minus, and then if I want to plug something in, you can physically go up and highlight it, and it'll stick it in for you. Okay? So, Either way, I end up with 10.8. Okay? No matter what. So if you just show that as your check, I'm okay with it. You're not getting the number 10.8 without doing the check correctly. Now, if you try to BS it and you just say 15 equals 15, well, no, it never equaled 15. So don't say that. Don't try to BS your check. Do it for real. Now, there were some of you who were getting close. In fact, I even saw some of you who got the right answer, but then your check wasn't working out for you. Going over it, do you know why now? Like, did you see where your check went wrong? Okay. So, we should have stages. Did you distribute? Did you move something? Did you move the other thing? Like, however you played the Who's Lonely game. And then did you divide to get the correct answer? Did you have a check that was correct? Now, if you ran it all the way to the end zone, you got not the right answer. You did the check showed you that you were wrong, and you still qualified that, and you said, I don't know where I went wrong, but this is wrong. Okay, that's not the full like 2, 3, 4 points off. Then you ask, and I will tell you where it went wrong, and I'll tell you if it's 1 off or 2 off. Okay? But because you ran it all the way there, because you got the check on there, because you knew what the check meant, I'm still going to give you credit for that. Okay? Any questions? Yes.
Mine was a fraction. I got 2 and 4 fifths.
2 and 4 fifths.
Yeah. I mean 10 and 4 fifths. For both of them.
What that is?
Oh, okay. Take 4 divided by 5, please. Hey, there it is. Also, everyone, you should know somewhere on your calculator, you all have a feature that will switch back and forth between fractions and decimals. So let's say I'm at 10.8 and I wanted a fraction. Anyone who's borrowing the bumblebees in here? Math, change to fraction. Then maybe hit the math button and see for yourself. Option number 1 is change to a fraction. On your scientific calculators, like the Casios, they like to have this SD button that switches back and forth. On some of the older scientifics, they might have like a DC button. That crap is yours. I don't have to play with yours. I'm not sure where that is. I'm actually not sure where it is on that one. A little bit old school. You know where yours is? How to convert back and forth between fractions and decimals. Okay.
I'm not sure how to do mine.
I don't know if yours will, because this is actually meant, this one specifically is meant for business. Oh, there it is. FD. You have to hit second there.
Is it in the one?
It's usually in the orange or blue or whatever the second color is above it. Answer random. ABC. Oh, hey, cool. You also do integrals. That's cool. G to T. I know it does it just because it has all of this other stuff. I'm not sure where it is. Okay. Okay. I've seen several of you grab these 36s. They just got a nice little convert button. You just keep poking that convert button and it'll switch back and forth between the different modes of answer. So just make sure you know where your tools are. The homie work. I'm not going to bother bringing up the clever until someone's actually willing to ask a question. So far, it's like 2 kids ask questions on a regular basis, and everyone else just, nah. I take that back. 2 kids ask questions about math on a regular basis. I heard someone say a 40-something over there. I have no idea what it is. Is it words? Ah, crud. All right. I'm not bothering logging into Pearson because it takes too long. I'm going to go old school. Not that old school. Gross. 41, you said? Okay. Okay. So you got this problem that says you go on a little trip, 60 miles an hour to get to Granny's house. On the way back, it's 40 miles an hour. Maybe it's snowing out. We actually ain't too far away from Thanksgiving. How many of you have gotten stuck at a relative's house because of the weather before? Okay. So it says it also takes 1 hour longer. Isn't that the same trip though? So if I drive 60 miles per hour for this distance, well, is it 60 times the distance? Or is it the distance divided by 60? Like what? Okay. 60 miles per hour times whatever distance it was. Or is it whatever distance you went divided by 60? Which is it? Which one makes more sense? That's actually a pretty good way to say it. Okay. Whenever we talk about your speed, it's miles per hour, distance per time. Okay, the whole lot of you in physical science, right? Distance per time is velocity. So, well, you know what? Let's use that. Velocity is distance over time. So, 60 miles an hour is whatever that distance was divided by, well, I don't know what that time was. Okay, I don't know what that was. On the way back, 40 miles an hour, but I took that same distance and I divided it by an hour more. It took an hour longer. And this is where things are going to start getting a little funky because it starts getting into systems. Who actually did this problem?
No, I tried.
I didn't even know.
What number was it again?
It did not go well at all.
And no one asked. This was purely a gotcha. I would never actually assign this. I would never actually put it on a quiz. This is something that's best done with a system of equations, which we don't get to until chapter 6. You can do it with one variable, but you got to jump through some mental hoops. I don't think that this problem should be in this section. I assigned it because you're going to have two variables, and y'all don't even know how to do with that. But no one asked.
You should still show us how to.
Okay. With two variables, it's going to be kind of nasty. The idea is cross multiply. And because D equals this stuff and D equals that stuff, you can cut D out of the middle and say that stuff equals each other. I cross multiplied, which is solving by proportions and ratios, which is the section after today. I said I would never actually assign this because it's not, you do not have the skills to do this the way that it is most efficient to do this. I literally assigned it to see who would ask the frigging question, and no one asked the question. I would then say, ha, see, 41 sucks, don't do it. But no one's asked. So, moral of the story, we need to have more than just two kids asking. We definitely don't need to be screwing around with markers if we're trying to, do math. I want someone who is annoyingly persistent to write down number 41, or what was this, 41? Number 41 from page whatever. And let's come back to this one literally right before Christmas break. Okay? Who's going to be annoying enough to remind me about it? And I'll show you how easy it was. Okay. All right. Yeah, right. Sailor, what'd you have for lunch? All right. There is a problem. The problem does not have anything in it besides words and figure stuff out. So, figure stuff out. Argue with your neighbors. What do you think?
I have to tell you about every single day.
No, at the day, like, after we do systems. Once we're halfway through chapter 6.
Chapter 6. Where's my snack?
Come on now.
I gotta go through it. Look, I wrote my middle name down.
Pizzas are $10, Haas. Now you'd be lucky to get a pizza roll for $1.
I don't get very much. Yeah, that's I'm glad. Pizza was $10. That made it a lot.
Yeah. I agree.
That makes sense.
I like the arguing, having good conversations about it. You know, hearing a lot of reasoning. No. If I have this many, then that's actually $40. So you have to divide by. Like those kind of conversations are good to have. And that's headed right down the trail. If I'm going to go straight to math land, it's $10 for every pizza, right? So however many of those I'm buying, I'm going to take that times 10. I don't know how many I'm buying yet. So 10 times something. I know there's $5 per sandwich. Okay, so I'm going to take 5 times however many of those I'm buying. And altogether, that's going to add up to 80 bucks. Now, that's assuming that you're going to spend all $80, right? Because it asks how many can you buy. You don't have to spend all $80. Hey, teenagers, just because you get money doesn't mean you need to spend all of it. Okay? Says the guy who used to have a sound system worth 4 times his car. Right? I was that guy. Okay? So, when the subs rattle the license plate and it just sounds like garbage, but inside the car it sounds great. Yeah, that was that. So, would you agree? Like 10 times the pizzas, 5 times the sandwiches, 80 bucks. Okay. So when they ask how many sandwiches can you buy if you have 4 pizzas, most of us are doing this, whether we're doing it on the fly or not, whether we're actually writing it out or not. You say 4 by 10 is 40. Subtract 40. So I've got $40 left. $40 divided by $5. I can get 8 sandwiches. We're assuming that they're rolling it in there. No tax. This is just like, you ever go to like a auction or a craft fair or something like that, or even out in the commons during a big jamboree or something, where it's just like, hey, $3.50 for a sliced pizza. Those big honking ones, where you get a crap ton of people playing a lot of games of either basketball or volleyball. Okay. But anyway, yes. I actually just had one last week. Or this past weekend, because I had to come here with my boys because my wife was painting the inside of the house, and there was a bunch of people here, and they were using all the classrooms. And it was all the local teams were using the classrooms as their locker rooms because there was like 40 of them. It was all the little kids doing, I think, basketball. But anyway, anyway, if you're just gonna solve for it every time, wouldn't it have been nicer to just be able to plug in the number and not have to solve? What if I just had like sandwiches equals stuff, and I was able to throw number in there, and then I know how many sandwiches? That is where formulas come in. Y'all in physical science, you've been doing a lot of stuff with formulas, right? This is why it's usually recommended that you're in Algebra 1 before you do physical science. Algebra half and physical science at the same time might be a little rocky, which is usually why kids hate both at the same time, because you're doing the same stuff in both classes. So, what I'm going to do is take that 5 times my sandwiches, 10 times my pizzas, and say that's 80 bucks. I wanted to say sandwiches equals stuff. If I want that by itself, what would have to go away? The 5 and the P and. So solving this is no different. What if I just said 10 plus 5x equals 80? What would you do? You'd subtract 10. And then? Now, that's just numbers. What you're actually doing, but you're simplifying along the way, when you subtract 10, you're doing this. You're just simplifying it. Okay, now divide by 5. But you were simplifying it along the way. What we're going to do when we rearrange formulas is you can't. You can't simplify it, so it's going to stay big and ugly like that. For example, the one we just did, what if I subtracted 10p? Are 80 and 10p like terms? No. So I'm just going to leave it ugly and say 80 minus 10p. Now what do I do to get s by itself? Oh, not minus 5. What's 5 all hugged up on s there? So I'll divide by 5. Hey, math is communist. What you do for one, you do for all. If I divide this term by 5, I divide this entire side by 5. And then the freshmen come along and they do something like this. You just broke math. Good job. Why is that wrong?
You only did the 5 division to the 10 instead of the P and the 80.
Math is communist. What you do for one, you do for all. Those are both over 5. So maybe it would do me well to put them both over 5. Right? Everything over 5. And then I actually do have my answer. My sandwiches will be, what's 80 divided by 5? 16. And 10 divided by 5 is? And you say, why am I even doing this? Go back to the problem. And it asked, how many sandwiches can you buy if you have 4 pizzas? Jam 4 in for pizzas. 16 minus 8 is 8. You can buy 8 sandwiches. What if I buy 5 pizzas? Okay. 2 by 5 is 10. 16 minus 10 is 6 pizzas. Formulas are a way to get straight to the answer instead of having to fart around with it. Yeah.
Did you mean sandwiches on that? You said pizzas for 5. What?
I'm hungry and I prefer pizzas.
That's a Brian answer.
That's not a mathematical error. That's words. Words are bad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, lawyer, convince me.
About what?
If you don't have the right label, then
Yeah, if
Yeah, how is this a word if you're saying something?
There you go.
Yeah, label.
There you go.
Label.
Say that again. If you don't have the right label on it, you don't know what we're talking about. If I'm saying I can buy that many pizzas, but it's actually sandwiches. How many times have you gotten the really dumb text from someone saying, oh, hey, can you pick me up some chicken nuggets too? Because they knew you were going to McDonald's. You brought them chicken nuggets. They're like, what the? Dude, I asked for a burger. And you show them the text. They're like, no, you didn't. Oops.
I would take
Okay, maybe that just happens to us all the time because we're like old and stressed. There you go. Yes, the labels do matter. All right, I'll take that one. I'll take that one. So,
You got 13 more to go.
that's exactly what example number 1 is. If I have this, could I rewrite it? Yes, I can. Take 10x plus 5y equals 80. They said x is pizzas, y is sandwiches. Okay, so they're labeling it off to the side. We did that with some of our word problems at the beginning of the year. How many sandwiches can you buy if you do 3 pizzas and 6 pizzas? What we're going to do is rewrite that and say minus 10x and then we divide everything by 5. Y is 16 minus 2x, and that's exactly what we had just done. Okay? They're just using x's and y's instead of p's and s's. I don't know about you, but for me, my t's look like pluses, my s's look like 5s, my 2's look like z's. Okay? Now that I have that, x is the number of pizzas. Can you answer that last question? How many sandwiches can you buy if you get 3 pizzas? What do I do with 3? Jam it in for x. So we'll have y is 16 minus 2 by 3. And 6 pizzas. So, 2 by 3 is? 16 minus 6 is? 10. 2 by 6 is?
12.
16 minus 12 is?
4.
Now you're all on the spot because I'm turned the other way and looking at you, huh? Like, oh God, he wants an answer. So, what should I do, Abby, with these numbers?
Put them for the x and y.
Did I answer the question?
Yes. No. Label.
How many sandwiches can you buy?
10.
10 sandwiches, 4 sandwiches. Answer the question. Like, Have the labels on there so you know what you're actually buying. Okay? So they want you to do the exact same thing down here. When they say solve for M, solve for M means get M by itself. Can you move stuff around so that M is by itself and you got M equals that junk?
Yeah.
Do it. The process is going to be no different than that. The process is no different, except you won't be able to combine like terms because the difference is there's an N there. Okay? That's the only difference. The process is the same. Go ahead and solve for M. Get M by itself. After you get the equation. Once you get M equals this junk, then put in the N's. Be real careful as you're moving stuff around. What is a like term and what's not? If you divide this thing by 2, you divide everything by 2. After you have the equation, then put the N's in. Need some help there, Booger?
What?
Need some help?
Sure.
You sure? You're just staring at it. Believe me, if you could learn by osmosis, I think both of us would be happy to just smack you upside the head with the book and then all of a sudden you knew it. Right? I'd take that. I want this by itself. So I need this guy to go away.
Plus 5 then.
Okay. So this drops. I haven't touched that. Are these like terms?
No.
So you just write it. Positive 5n, positive 4. That's still hugged up on M. Who's got to go away?
M. Or no, 2.
And how do I get rid of something that's all smashed up like that?
Divide it.
Okay. Now I can whomp the whole thing like that. And I'd take that answer. Or I would also take M is each of them. 5n over 2. And 4 over 2 is what?
2 over M.
Yep, which I just call 2 because I don't need the 1 anymore. I'll take either one of those answers.
Right.
Now that you have this, can you replace n with those?
Sure.
Stick a negative 2 in for n. What does it equal? Stick a 0 in for n. What does it equal?
So I could do it
Yep,
like all these separately.
yep.
Okay.
3 different ones. Is it?
Are we allowed to have decimals? Because I don't know type. I think I messed up.
It's a terminating decimal, so I'll accept it. Not happy about it, but I'll take it. How did you take 4 minus 2m?
Oh no, I was just gonna like.
Oh, okay. So you're like dividing line is like this. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, you just kind of like shifted the equal sign because you.
Whoops.
That'd be like if I just snapped my fingers and all of a sudden you were out in the hallway. And I snapped them again and you were like standing on Isaiah's head. Like you can't just move the equal sign because you feel like it.
Oh.
I really liked, I forget who it was. I was working with someone. They absolutely loved having that dividing line on there, almost like a table, because it worked for them. Doesn't have to be what works for you. They had 4 equals 2m minus 5n. And what they absolutely loved doing was just tossing that where the equal sign is, so they don't screw that up. Okay, I want that by itself. Who's got to go away? Everything else. Okay, so it'd probably be better if I added the 5n first. You see how that dividing line forces me to do it on both sides? Show that this zeroes out. I have 2m equal to, are those like terms? No. So you just got to write them. Who wrote it as 4 plus 5n? Could I write it as 5n plus 4? Commutative property of addition. 5 plus 4 is 4 plus 5. So 5n plus 4 is 4 plus 5n. It actually doesn't matter. Okay. Now me personally, just after doing this for so long, I like to have my variables first. That's a preference. Doesn't have to be yours. What do I still need to do? M still isn't by itself. That I like that you said divide everything by 2. If I divide this by 2, like, would it make sense for me to divide one person's homework in half and then divide one other person's homework in half and then just say, all right, the rest of you go for it? Okay. Now that's actually a bad example because fair does not always mean equal. I do have students that I have individualized assignments for, and they might only be doing 5 problems a night. Because it's what works for them, because they actually come and talk to me. And I know that they can do it, they just can't do it that fast. So we talked it out. But in math, math is communist. What you do for one, you do for all. It does not care. There is no such thing as fair. I just do the same thing for everything. All right, here we go. 2 divided by 2, bye-bye. 4 divided by 2 is? And 5 divided by 2, I will just leave as 5 halves. If you wrote it as 2.5, because 2.5 is a terminating decimal, because it stops, and you didn't round off your answer, I'll take it. Another way you could do that, forget who we were working with over there, is I could also write that 5n plus 4 all over 2. That is also correct. Both of those are correct because they both show that everything was divided by 2. Now that I'm here, it says n is going to equal some stuff. N equals what? What was it? So now that I know what m is, Let's do it. Football. Are you not going? You're on campus. Or was the game canceled? All right.
I mean, I'll go if I.
No, I don't think you can even get on the bus if you're ineligible. So, okay. I'm going to do this. Well, coach might have forgot to update the roster when they sent it into the office. I've got to plug in those numbers 3 different times. Plug in a -2, plug in a 0, plug in a 2. What's 5 times -2? Plus 4. Oh. Wow. It's like, do math right! Getting home. Jeez. What is -6 divided by 2? Do it again. 5 by 0. Plus 4. Divided by 2. 5 times 2. Plus 4. Now divide by 2. Okay. What's
It's my
I
Debbie's name. Debbie. This is her name. It's like, have you ever seen the meme? It's like the one girl that goes like, I'm at the Selma Malone. And we started saying that in PE, so then started calling him Elm. That's great.
So y'all are talking like you have a stroke.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Rewriting a literal equation with only variables. Who in here is that kid that has to rearrange your room like every 6 or 8 months? Like, some kids are just like that. It's been a few months, you're looking like, nah, putting up against the wall so I got more room out here and do the thing. And then after a few months, you're like, I'd rather have it kind of in the middle so I can have the ends, the little nightstand on both sides. So I got my books over here, I got my stuff. And then a couple months, you're like, nah, I don't like it. And they keep changing it. There's always like 1 in 5 kids are like that. How are you going to move stuff around and all of a sudden, poof, your furniture is gone? Are you going to move your bed over by your dresser and now they just kind of into a bunk bed that's got dressers under it? Okay? It's not like any number of mobile games where you just slide this thing into that thing and now it works. Okay? You can't do that in the real world. You can't do that with equations like this. By the end of it, you're not going to have x equals number. You're going to have x equals a bunch of junk that was just rearranged. What you did was create a formula. If I want x all by itself, right now, do you see like terms?
Yeah.
There is. They're ugly like terms, but they are like terms. Like if this was 6x minus 3x, you would be able to put those together, right? What would it be? What you did was 6 minus 3 x's. You just did it on the fly in your head. So I can do the same thing here and say I have a minus b x's. Just like I can do that with numbers. But along the way, we've always been simplifying the numbers. Now, I can't take my dresser and my nightstand and go and now it's like a cat tower or something. I can't just do that. I have to leave them there. Just got this mental image now of Trey this weekend just like throwing furniture in piles and hoping that they... Okay. So here, I'll just show you the parallel to this. So if I have... There we go. Hey. You know what? Before doing this whole thing, I want you to kind of right next to it to see what it looks like. What's 6x minus 2x? No, it's not. It's 6 minus 2x. You always write the 4, don't you? What do we do then? We divide both sides by 4, getting 17 fourths. I'm going to do the same thing here, except it's all variables. I have an a minus b x. Right? Combine like terms. Combine like terms. If I divided by the 4, didn't I really divide by the 6 minus 2? So what will I divide by? The entire a minus b. You divide both sides by a minus b. And they cancel like this. And that's it. That's your answer. It just stays butt ugly like that. C over a minus b. It just stays ugly. Ashton, up front. I think I might have one of you sit over at my desk. Please don't. That's it. All you're doing is rearranging. Can you get x by itself? Can you move around the other variables by math law? If they added a thing, you subtract a thing. If they multiplied by a thing, you divide by a thing. Can you rearrange that so that x is all by itself? This is how formulas are made. All the formulas that you learned with geometric concepts, y'all remember doing like perimeter of a rectangle? 2 times L plus W? Those things came from rearranging equations like this. They didn't just poof into existence. Someone rearranged the equation like you're doing right now. Can you get x by itself? Can you get x by itself? Can you get x by itself?
Yeah, no.
What? How do you do it if they're not the same?
Yeah,
One has an X on it, one doesn't.
take the X off of it. Whoa. That's when it says all the answers.
Because in the last one, they both had X.
Dude, it doesn't matter, it's the same thing. Just get rid of one of the X's.
So then, can you just like keep rearranging the letters until you get the right answer?
Yes. But I just double check it.
They're solved the same way. I suppose I shouldn't use P again because you're using P as a placeholder right now. I don't know. There you go. 10x. How would you solve this?
I'd start with that number, that 5 right there.
Subtract 5 and then divide by 10. Same thing, but they're not going to disappear. They just move. They stay butt ugly.
I got very short on for you. I don't think it's better. I don't do that. I don't do that. Okay. Like them. Not that way. No, not right now.
I want x by itself. Who's moving?
The X.
The P and the R, but just like over there, what would I want to move first? I'd want to move the 5, I'd want to move the R because it's not attached to the X yet. So, subtract R, subtract R. There. Now I have, there we go. Are these like terms?
No yet.
Nope, yep. I mean, they're both variables, but are they like terms? So negative R minus T is Px. What do I still need to do to get x by itself? Divide by P. Divide by P cancels. Divide it all by P. And I can't reduce R over P. I can't reduce T over P. So it just stays butt ugly like that. X is negative R minus T all over P. Because these are algebraic expressions, there are different ways to write them. You can say x is negative R minus T over P. You can say x is negative T minus R over P. Did anyone do it that way?
Oh, I think I did. Yeah, I did do that for you.
Addition's commutative, right? It's still a negative T and a negative R. So they just swap spots. What's up?
Well, we have to like do something like this.
Yes. You're going to have to do this for the next 4 years, pal. Unless you drop out. No, you can drop out at 16 if you have parental approval. Yeah. Or negative R over P plus negative T over P. All 3 of those are correct. All 3 of them are right. This is a ridiculously important skill. Like, physical science is kind of built on this and multi-step equations. That and a whole bunch of vocabulary. There's as much vocabulary in a freshman physical science class as there is in a freshman foreign language class. Like word for word. It's just, if I said the word to you, seismic, you might have heard it before, so maybe you know what it means.
exact definition.
It's something with like the ground and rocks and stuff, right? Yeah, yeah. But you have some sort of, right? But is that still a relatively new word to most of you? Okay, so we need more.
I like 3. That 3 looks
Two.
Oh, so does 6. Boy.
We're gonna go old school here. Ready? Count them off, 1 through 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Cool. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do them. I'm going to come back and do 5 and 6 afterwards. Yes. You do the number that you got.
That's what I'm saying. I'd like the same one.
Why is there a comma?
It's telling you what to solve for. Here's the equation, solve for x. Here's the equation, solve for y. Hi.
I'm not sure.
Can you simplify what's inside the parentheses?
No.
So, get rid of them. Because you can't add them together. There's no numbers smashed up on them, so there's no distribution. It's just x plus f plus 2 is j. Cool, you want this by itself. Who has to go away?
The F.
How?
Oh, minusing F.
Who else has to go away?
That 2.
Are any of these like terms?
No.
Ta-da!
Wow. Magic.
Don't overthink it, dude.
Magic.
You know how to do them. Which one, you on? Okay. So, if I want this,
Like, you know, the preparedness, determination, or excellence.
Now what?
Like the 5 pillars of pure whatever that
Plus B.
there you go.
What? They actually, yes, they did. Like the, it's now
Okay.
empathy for E.
What?
Yeah, like it's much. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, that's not it. It's
That
over
means
by
C.
Are these like terms?
by
Yeah.
the school.
Well, they're both variables, but I can't like smash them together. It has to have 2 BCs. So it's just B plus C.
Oh, that's a different.
What's that? For X.
Okay, I still want X by itself.
I see.
I don't think it's pride, but
What is A doing to X?
Multiply.
So,
yeah, I've seen that. I've seen it before, but I just never.
make sure it's entire side. That's it. X is B plus C over A.
Straight. Right there.
It just stays ugly. Y'all got yours? If you got yours, check with your neighbors. Make sure they're getting theirs. Help each other. So,
I'm not too sure how to do number 3.
can you combine like terms?
No.
So it just is what it is. So you want x by itself. If I have x plus f plus 2 is j. None of this matters, right? What the bejesus is it?
It was.
Oh, no, no, you're actually not far off there, okay? So if I want this by itself, he's got to go away. How?
Subtract.
Who else got to go away?
The 2.
So I just got x left on that side, right? Are any of those three like terms? So that's it. That's your answer. J minus f minus 2. Or j minus 2 minus f is the exact same thing because when I chop them up like this, you got the same thing. You were right.
Okay.
You were right. Just you went there a weird way.
I got it.
I'd recommend doing some more.
Literally, you can't do nothing.
Maybe the one on either side of you. If you feel confident about yours, I suggest looking at the other ones. Because you know we're going to do them all.
Like a real.
You all right? I want x by itself. Who's got to go away? A and B. Just like when I have numbers there, who should go first? Probably the B, so I don't have to deal with fractions. Show that zeros out. We have AX. Are C and B like terms? So just write it. I still want X by itself. So I divide by A, show that this cancels out, and that's it. X is B plus C all over A. You could alternately say B over A plus C over A. They're both correct. In both cases, you have both of them over A. That's the point. I hope y'all are writing it down because whether you did it or not, we're doing it now. Yeah.
I can go like that over there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Boomhauer. Y'all get it?
No.
I'll think about one.
I don't know what you're doing with your fingers there.
Who's doing now? It's because you
See?
really eraser.
Now it's all anti-dramatic. All right. I want X by itself. Who's got to go away? Show it zeros out. Drop it. Are Y and -1 like terms? Nope. What's still hugged up on that X? So again, I can either say Y minus 1 over 15, or, are you getting it now? Okay, I'll take it a step further. What number's in front of the Y? Right here.
1.
You remember what we said about those fractions? This can also be called X is 1/15th. Y minus 1/15th. Hey, if I'm dividing by 15, dividing by fractions is easy as pie. I didn't have to do this. I could have said X is 1/15th Y minus 1. All four of those are correct. All four of them are correct. Okay, a couple of you were kind of struggling with 3 here. Can I combine what's inside those parentheses?
No.
Is there anything on the outside to distribute? So it's just X plus F minus plus 2 is J. The F has to go away. The 2 has to go away. This zeroes out, this zeroes out. Are any of those like terms?
No.
J minus F minus 2. That's it. All you're doing is rearranging things. Okay? It doesn't have to be difficult. You're just moving things around. Can we? Yeah, there we go. Oh, wait, that's right. Everyone was 4. So, I want Y by itself. Subtract W. Show it zeros out. Oh. What's on that side? I just started writing stuff. What did I forget to write? Minus W, right? So be careful. 9 minus W or negative W plus 9, same thing. Who's still got to go? Look at what it said. It said solve for Y. Okay. Sneaky, sneaky. Y is 9 minus W over X. Or Y is 9 over X minus W over X. Stop that. Okay. Not going to bother with the other two. I think after doing a few of them, yeah, all right. Let me think here. Formulas. Ooh, we're close. We're so close. But I know you ain't going to do word problems if we have a 3-day weekend, so I'm going to stop it right there. I'm going to stop it there.